What's with the beard, Grizzly Adams?
I'm going to grad school, so I wanted to look the part.
Okay.
Yeah.
You got to look like a starving grad student.
Well, I don't think I look like I'm starving, that's for sure. But like grad student anyway.
Got it. We wanted to do a little bit on the Giro, just kind of looking at what's going on there, and obviously we're not there, but
Neither am I.
it's okay. So did the first week unfold more or less like you expected?
Well, I think Ryder being aggressive in some of those sort of middle mountain stages was what we expected. The time trial, although a lot of people made a lot about the time he lost there, that was about where we were aiming for as well. Yesterday was not. I mean, yesterday obviously that's not according to plan. Like, that was just a rough day for him. So. But, I mean, good timing in that it came right before the rest day, so that means he's got a little bit of time to sort of regroup and rethink, how we're going to go forward in the next couple weeks.
If you would have said before the Giro that the standings are where they are now, would you have considered that a success, or would you have considered it you're just hitting par for the course, or a little bit under?
I think had Ryder not lost the minute yesterday, we would have been right where we thought. Like 6th, 7th overall after the TT. I mean, he lost more time to Nibali than I would have anticipated, and much, much less time to Wiggins. Like we were banking on 3 minutes to Wiggins in the TT. He lost less time to Wiggins, more time to Nibali. Scarponi did a pretty incredible ride, so that wasn't there. But 6th, 7th overall after the time trial, that would have been right where we were aiming for. 11th and an extra minute and some down, that's not great, but it's also not fatal.
What was there a particular cause for what happened to him yesterday when you did get gapped off?
Yeah, he basically a lot of times if you look at Ryder's position on the TT bike, he's not the most flexible guy. He doesn't have a real like look at Wiggins, how he easily folds over at the hips. He's much tighter in his lower back, and we've worked a lot with that, but he's just genetically much more tighter in his lower back. And that long TT, he basically just really froze up the muscles in his lower back and his glutes, and he could barely walk after the time trial. Not because he was out of breath or so exhausted, but because his lower back had locked up on him, and that just hadn't quite released the next day. And I think he hit a moment where it was a real high torque situation on that steep climb at the end, and like his glutes and his lower back weren't responding, and that was that.
He's not the only rider to run into a little bit of difficulty. Brad Wiggins has obviously had some struggles the first week. Do you think that Brad's Giro is going according to plan, or is the situation flip-flop where now he needs to attack the climbers in the mountains?
Yeah, I mean, for me, Brad, to win the Giro, he needed to be ahead of Nibali right now, not behind. Like he needed, like his chance for the big knockout punch was in the long time trial. Now I think it becomes more difficult with the time bonuses and mountain stages. Although I think he'll rebound. I mean, I'd give him a high probability of winning the uphill time trial. I think he'll bring back some time there, but it's going to be tough. I mean, he needed a little bit more of a knockout blow, I think, in that first TT.
Do you think Nibali's delivered any kind of knockout blow, or is it still pretty wide open?
Nibali's definitely the guy right now. He's the number one race favorite, and he's producing above expectation, and he's had a couple wobbles, like the one day he crashed in rain or whatever, but he's gotten right back up and gotten back into it, and so he's overcome some adversity. He's going to be very tough. I think he's definitely the number one candidate to win the Giro right now, barring crashes, illnesses, whatever else. But the Giro, it's not the Tour. There's a lot more that can take place, and the race pattern does not always develop the way you think it will. It can be very topsy-turvy, and that can swing against him one day as well.
What's what's a good tactical way to attack him to try to exploit any kind of weakness?
Well, what I've noticed is that the major weakness is, Astana doesn't seem to have too much support for him. So you give him a few days to really just ride on the front and have to drag back all the breakaways and defend the race lead and wait until they're worn down. And then, at that point, in our situation, you've got to kind of go with a non sequitur plan B race tactic, and that's you've got to sort of attack at a unknown moment. Maybe far out from the line, maybe on a descent, maybe in a crosswind. I mean, who knows? You have to take it day by day. But for Ryder to win the Giro, he's not going to win it by chipping away at little seconds or whatever on mountaintop finishes. Like he's got to be bold, and he's got to be bold at the exact right time. I think he will be. It's just we need a lot to line up for that to work.
Sure. Obviously, predictions are a little perilous when you got a horse in the race. But any thoughts on a final podium?
No, I tried to. Every time I try to predict something, I seem to just infuriate people one way or the other because I don't put their favorite rider in, or I don't. Who knows, right? So I write my predictions down. I put Dan Martin winning Liège out on Twitter beforehand, and thank God that was right. But I don't do it very often unless I'm real certain, because I just put my foot in my mouth.
Okay, well, we know one thing: it will be exciting.
Oh yeah, no, it's absolutely. It's going to be a great race. Continue to be a great race, and I think Ryder's going to really liven up the race. He's very good in the third week, and he'll do his damnedest to make up the gap.